Thanks for checking out this special mini course made just for you, the West Coast Swing Dancer. My name is Dr. Alyssa Arms, and I'm a physical therapist and the owner of Back and Step Physical Therapy, located in Centennial, Colorado. Now, you may know that I'm a physical therapist, but one thing you probably didn't know is that I've also been a dancer for my entire life. I've been a dancer in West Coast Swing specifically since 2009. I've been involved on the local level, going out to weekly dances, helping behind the scenes at some of the dance events here in Colorado, and also competing, whether it's in my own division, doing pro-ams, or doing things like the Rising Star division. I wanted to come to you and share some tips and tricks to help make sure that you can make the best of your weekend and that you can come out feeling just as good as when you started. I wanted to come to you and give you the West Coast Swing Survival Guide for an event weekend. Now, one thing that is particularly important for us as dancers over a long dance weekend is making sure that we're staying properly hydrated. We are fantastic at going to classes, getting ready for our competitions and participating in them, and dancing the night away. But one thing that we're not great about is drinking enough water. Now, if you've seen us at an event, you may have been lucky enough to have scored one of these awesome mugs. These hold about 14 ounces. So in that 1 to 2 hours before you compete or perform, you should be drinking a little bit more than one of these to make sure that you're getting enough water. In the 15 minutes before you compete, the goal is to get 8 ounces, so about half of this. Once you're done, you've exerted yourself and you've probably sweat a fair bit as well. We need to make sure that we're replenishing that water. So within about half an hour after finishing your activity, see if you can drink about another 8 ounces or about half of one of those cups. Another thing that's really important is making sure that you're getting a decent diet throughout the weekend. Now, as somebody who has signed up for every workshop and every competition imaginable for an event weekend, as well as social dancing, I get it. It's hard. We don't always know exactly when we're going to be able to sit down and eat. We don't always have access to a refrigerator, so sometimes we need to get a little bit creative. Make sure that you're snacking throughout the day if you're not able to sit down and have some meals. Sometimes we're lucky enough over the weekend to get a room that has both a refrigerator and a microwave. That makes the possibilities endless. Make sure that you schedule some time, maybe on Friday when you come in, to run with some friends to the grocery store and stock up on some options. That way you can come back and always know that you have some food even when the bar and restaurant are closed for the evening. Or if you have particular dietary restrictions, that way you are well set for everything. You can grab extra food when you are ordering something at a restaurant and take the leftovers back and heat them up the next day as another meal. You can prep and grab some frozen dinners or something like that, although be careful with that because a lot of those pre-made frozen meals typically have a lot more salt and sugar in them, which isn't great for our bodies either. So limit how much you use those. Most of the time though, we don't have a microwave, and sometimes we're even lucky to have a fridge. One option that I really like to use is something like a protein shake or a meal replacement shake or bar. If I do have a fridge, I like to prep ahead of time and maybe make something in a blender or grab something like the Ninja blender where you can just make it on the spot and have that in your room. You can throw in all kinds of different healthy fruits and vegetables and then throw in whatever protein you want to go along with it. If you don't have a refrigerator, you're just gonna have to rely on something where you can just mix powder with whatever liquid that you want. One of my favorites is doing something like whey protein, or if you're like me and can't do the whey, I really like using some pea protein. Mix that in with some milk or your favorite dairy substitute, or even just water, and then give that a shake and you're ready to go with a great option. One thing I would definitely recommend is take advantage of any time where you can sit down and have a real meal. That way you can at least have one sitting of a decent distribution of your calories, making sure that you get a good mix of carbohydrates, proteins, and even some fats in there. All of those are really important for energy storage and for fuel for our bodies, particularly if we're going to be dancing for a long period of time. One fun option that I've even heard people talk about is either bringing or buying a cheap crock pot someplace along the way, even when you first get into town. Run by the grocery store and get some items, and then you can heat up things in the crock pot and have it cooking all weekend. Store things in the refrigerator and just heat it up again in the crock pot. Things like beef jerky or turkey jerky can be some great options to have on hand to be able to snack, but just make sure that you're not relying on that too heavily. It is a good source of protein, but it also can be higher in fat, and they tend to have a lot of salt. Since we're already going to be moving a lot and we're typically not fantastic about our hydration levels and drinking enough water, watching that salt balance is going to be really important. If you're really looking to replace some things too, there are even some reports that show that some chocolate milk can be a great alternative. It shouldn't be your go-to every time, but it can be an option and a great way to kind of mix it up a little bit. We need to make sure that we're taking good care of our bodies. We've talked about some options with eating right and making sure that we're staying well hydrated. But what else can we do as good warm-ups and cool downs? Particularly if you are going to be walking into a class or a private lesson, or maybe competing or performing. So particularly if you've already been struggling with something like back pain, knee pain, or shoulder pain, don't just go out and start dancing right away. Do some different motions to kind of warm the area up, get your blood flowing a little bit, and then you can go out and dance and enjoy. It's important to warm up doing a little bit of light cardio. A lot of people think that maybe that means going to the gym, running on the treadmill for 15 minutes, doing a bunch of jumping jacks. But research shows that there is little to no difference whether you spend 15 minutes or more doing a warm-up or you just do a 5-minute warm-up. So even just jogging in place while you're in line waiting to go out to compete can be a great way to increase some blood flow. If you do decide to use dance as part of your warm-up, try to choose something that's a little bit slower that you can ease your body into, and not something that's really fast where you have to push yourself really hard in order to keep up. Some people like to stretch before they do some of these activities as well. It's okay if you do a little bit of light stretching to work into some areas of motion that you need to be able to access that aren't part of your regular activity. Maybe you can do splits, or there are certain moves where you need to be down into a deep squat or have good mobility in your shoulders as you're raising your hand up above your head for something. It's fine to do some light stretching for that. And hopefully if that's something that is a part of your regular dance routine, it's also a part of your regular daily routine to work on those stretches. It should never be something that you only do for those few minutes before you go dance. Now, more recent research has shown that too much stretching is actually a bad thing before you expect to do any sort of athletic performance. It can not only decrease the strength of your muscles, but it can also decrease the power that you're able to produce and decrease your overall performance. So make sure that you're stretching just enough to kind of get things warmed up and loosened up a little bit, but not going crazy with it. Here are a few ideas of exercises that you can try before you go out to dance. They'll use a variety of muscles throughout your body and make sure that you're good to go. Something like squats or mini squats will help engage muscles in the buttocks and in your legs. These will be helpful just to keep you stable and balanced. You can also try some jogging as you roll through your feet never coming up off of the floor. Here are a couple of stretches that are good for muscles of the calf, one with the back leg straight, the other with the back leg bent, making sure that you do it on both sides. These are particularly important if you're dancing in heels. After doing these couple of calf stretches on both sides, you can move on to do some heel raises. These will also get some blood flow to those muscles and make sure that you can push off well when you're going to go dance. You can hang on to something for balance if you'd like. This is an important one, especially if you're planning to go down into any dips or drops or maybe into a split type position. One leg in front of the other, half kneeling, and just lunge forward, gently pushing into that stretch, making sure that you're not letting your back arch as you do so. You can work on some deeper squats, really working on getting those hips down. You can also try shifting side to side a little bit as you're down in this squat position. To focus on your feet, you can put one foot up against the wall. This will give you a nice stretch into your calf and even into the bottom of your foot. You may try these with or without shoes and see which one works better for you. If you can find a step, you can go back to that idea of jogging in place and sort of hanging your heels off the back of it. This will increase the stretch that you get and really make you articulate through your foot as you're rolling back and forth. And once you're done on the dance floor, maybe taking a break for a while, it's great to come back and do a little bit of stretching again. It's also a good idea to do something that's maybe a little bit slower paced. So if you're not ending on something that is a slow song, maybe just walk around for a few minutes before you decide to go and sit for a while. That just makes sure that, again, your body has a chance to have a nice smooth transition and not an abrupt change. If you're somebody who struggles with anxiety and nerves before you go out to compete or perform, I have some great exercises for you. They're all things that you can do no matter where you are and things that you just kind of run through in your head. I definitely recommend going through them ahead of time so that you have a chance to practice them, and it does take some practice and some repetition to get comfortable with the flow of it and to figure out which techniques work best for you. I have a YouTube video that has 3 or 4 exercises on it. You can check the link over here, or you can look for the link at the end of this video. You can go in, try out those different techniques, see what works best for you. As you get more comfortable with them, a lot of them I can do while I'm standing in line in just a couple of minutes. So it's really great to have those in your back pocket in case you get a bad case of the nerves before you go out. One thing that we all struggle with during a dance competition weekend is making sure that we get enough sleep. It is possible to stay busy almost 24 hours a day during an event weekend. If you are doing routine divisions and you do floor trials, sometimes those start as early as 6 a.m. They might still be kicking people out of the ballroom from social dancing from the night before. There are workshops throughout the day, opportunities to take private lessons, and then of course all of the competitions and social dancing that run throughout the afternoon and evening. So when are you going to get enough sleep? It's definitely hard, but do the best that you can. If you're great at power napping, see if you can snag a couple of those throughout the day. See if you can also set aside a little bit of time to go back and take a bit longer of a nap, aiming for 1 to 2 hours. There's some interesting research out there to kind of help support this idea of sleep being important for us even during a dance weekend. It may seem like it's not that big of a deal to have a night where you basically get no sleep because you've powered through with all the social dancing, and it's a ton of fun, but even one all-nighter when you're not getting any sleep during a 24-hour period can reduce your overall performance by 300%. They've also done some research of high school and college level athletes, and they find that the amount of sleep that they get actually is a better indicator of their risk of injury than the number of hours that they're practicing or the kind of practice that they're doing. So if it's true for high school and college athletes, why isn't it true for us for a dance weekend? So figure out how you can sneak in that sleep because you definitely need it. When it all comes down to it, it's all about balance. Make sure that you're taking good care of your body physically by warming up and cooling down appropriately. Take care of your mental health by using some of those techniques to help calm your nerves before you compete, and socialize with people that you're encountering throughout the weekend because there's so many awesome people that you get to meet. And make sure that you're staying well hydrated and well fueled by choosing some good food options. Hopefully all of this information is helpful for you. Let us know if you have any questions or comments because we'd love to hear from you, especially if you have any tips or tricks for surviving a dance weekend yourself. Thanks, and I'll see you on the dance floor.